But I did have to see that counselor for a while. I guess it helped a little bit with anger management, but I say for me halfway. Maybe it helps some other people, but for me, a little bit. A little bit. Now, in third grade, there was this bully, this kid named Ryan. He was such a jerk. He didn't bully me on a regular basis. I wasn't the kind of kid that was gonna let somebody bully me. I just really wasn't that kind of guy. I've always been no nonsense. It's not that I ever thought that I was better or massively stronger than somebody or anything like that. I just didn't take no BS. It bothered me if you wanted to treat me less than human or treat me poorly. I just could not accept that. And so back then I stood in the face of whatever I had to deal with, and I dealt with it. And that was how I dealt with everything back then. So this kid Ryan, they would let us out to PE. Everybody would go outside to, do whatever they had. They had this thing, it was a tire tree. You take old tires, and then it'd be a big like wood post in the ground, and then they bolt the tires on left and right so the kids can kind of climb up the tires, but they kind of industrial size. So, little kids can have fun on that, and you go all the way to the top. Maybe it's like one, two, three, four, maybe like a fifth tire or something like that. So you can get all the way to the top of it, sit up on that, and you kind of the king of the tire tree. So though they had the tire trees back then, they had the basketball court, we had pull-up bars, and it's summertime, and then there's like a whole bunch of hay and all or straw. It's straw, not hay, but there's like all this straw, and then they got all the milk crates out there, so you can just kids make up all kinds of goofy little games, and you got kids playing hopscotch, all kinds of things like that, and then kids just out there running around. I can't remember if they had some swings. I want to say that they did off in the distance, but those kinds of things, we had that kind of stuff, so you could get out there and play and have a good time, let loose, burn off your energy. The basketball courts is where we wanted to spend a lot of our time. Spending most of my days. So we'll go out there and you play, but it's only so many goals to play on, and then some of the goals are broken, so they don't even have hoops on them. So it's just a backboard, or they don't have rims on them. So it's just a backboard. Ryan would always get a team of guys and then hog the goals. He was not a fair play type of guy. And then when you wanted to play or kind of share or something like that, he'll try to bully you. Man, I was on a goal one day. I was sitting there just shooting my ball, minding my own self business. I ain't bothering nobody. You know what I'm saying? I'm just out here, God's child, just shooting the basketball. You know what I'm saying? Outside of the school. And then these fools want to roll up on me. And then he start trying that business. He come up to me talking about, hey, this our goal. I was like, bro, I'm already shooting here. And he just come out, he like, hey, this our goal. So I was like, all right. I waited till he shot. You know how you can take the ball and then you shoot the same time somebody else shoot and then it bounced the ball out? Yeah. I was like, all right, bro, if this is what we're gonna do, we're gonna do this. And you don't understand the kind of guy I am, bro. I will take it to the end. So let's go on ahead and do this. I don't care about none of that. Like we can go ahead on and we can get suspended together. Let's do this. He kept on. I shot the ball, bounced the ball out. I shot the ball, bounced the ball out. So now the balls is all they all, if sometimes if you bounce one a certain way, it'll bounce way away. So now the ball done bounce way away. It's all up in the dirt. He talking about get the ball. I done dropped my ball and threw my ball back. I was like, bro, I ain't getting nothing. Now we sitting there, we face to face. All the people that then came with him then backed up now. Now it's just me and Ryan. And he's sitting there trying to be tough. And he one of them talkers. He one of them guys that keep talking. And now we sitting there. And I'm looking at him. I'm like, bruh, just throw the first punch. Half a little smirk too. I was like, just throw the first punch. The boy backs down, doesn't do anything. He just looks stupid. Then he goes and gets his ball out the dirt and brushes it off. And then they try to proceed to play basketball, but I stay on the court. I'm never leaving the court. That was the only interaction I had with that kid my whole third grade year. Mind you, I done seen all these kids get bullied by this fool. But that was kind of the way I handled things. I just didn't really care. And that's one of them things that showed me that a lot of people who spend a lot of time talking and doing all that kind of behavior, it don't really necessarily equate to somebody that's a action-based person. It's a person that's trying to kind of control other kids by fear, by just positioning themselves as a stronger person. But it doesn't mean that they're stronger. It doesn't mean that's somebody you need to worry about. And I'm not saying the way that I handled things was the best way. I know that a lot of the things that I did was not the best way. I was a I was an angry little kid. So I think I was, at the same time where I wasn't starting a whole lot of stuff, I was never afraid to get into some turmoil. I was like, oh, all right then. So that's what we doing today. All right then. Well, let's do it. Let's burn the whole building down. Let's do it. I had that little mentality back then. And some of that too, some of that did come from me when I did go see my dad and I would go and stay out and Gulf Breeze with him. They had me around my dad's girlfriend's son. That guy, he was more troubled than me. I'll say it that way. He was more troubled than me. He was a little bit older and he was getting into all kinds of stuff that you shouldn't be exposed to at that age. And I'm getting exposed to everything. And I'm out there running the streets with him. We out here stealing from stores. We're doing all kinds of goofy stuff. Like, and I mean stealing things that just make no sense to steal. Like they had like these little wind up cars that you just take them and wind them up, and then they had this little spark that would fire off inside them while they take off and roll away. We were stealing those. We were stealing like cheap RC cars, not even like a good RC car, just like really small RCs that had the little controller, and you turn it one way, like it only goes straight or it only go like left or something. It only goes straight or it only go backwards. We were stealing these little stupid little things, or like toys, nothing important. But I'm spending time with these goofballs, and so that's what kind of stuff I'm getting into. I remember we went into a Sonny's barbecue once, and we went into a Pizza Hut. Back then they had the Pizza Hut. It was a buffet, and you could go in. They had the drink machine right in the front, and you could go in. You pay at the little counter to get your little space. They had a Pizza Hut and they had Godfathers. These were pizza places back then that you could go, and then they used to serve pizza, and then they would have a pizza. Pizza Hut specifically had a pizza bar, and so they keep bringing out different pizzas that are on this menu, and you can get slices. Man, we snuck in there, did our little slick 1-2. We was in there stealing pizzas for like a smooth 30 minutes. We sat next to this family like we were a part of the family, just stealing pizzas and stealing drinks, and then we out of there. Did the same thing at a Sonny's barbecue, but we were just little mischievous, little misguided kids. And I got into a whole lot of that because, again, over my dad's house, it wasn't a whole lot of supervision. I got exposed to a whole lot of that, and I took some of that behavior back to my side of town. I was probably the bad egg in some of my friend groups because of the poor behaviors that I was taking. We were stealing stuff out of little Tom Thumb. Like we had a Tom Thumb right at the head of our community, and we'd go in there. We had strategies. Like we had a guy in there. He'd be up in the front arguing about trying to buy something you can't buy with food stamps, and then we be back there just putting stuff in our pockets. And again, all kinds of goofy stuff like that big league chew. It's like bubble gum, but it's like supposed to mimic putting chew inside of your mouth, how they put chewing tobacco inside of your mouth for the baseball players. We be stealing them fake little cigarettes, them white cigarettes, and they taste terrible. But as a kid, you think you doing a little something. We steal those, steal Jolly Ranchers, blow pops. And back then you had the Jolly Rancher little candy, but then you had the Jolly Rancher stick. It was real thin and it was stick. And you had like strawberry, watermelon, green apple. So we be stealing those, and we steal Pop Rocks. We stealing Pop Rocks. And it was real hard to steal like the small bags of chips because they make a whole lot of sounds whenever you try to walk out the store. So we're stealing all these kind of little knickknacks and goofball things. And the dude that worked at the Tom Thumb, his name was Spider. And Spider, we were cool with Spider at the same time, but we were also mischievous kids, so we didn't care nothing about preserving the relationship, and we didn't think about the impact that it was having on this man's job, letting little kids in the store, and then they stealing and whatnot. And Spider was cool. He had like, to us, he was cool because he had all these tattoos and stuff like that. That man probably had a whole long, strong life before that we ain't know nothing about. But to us, Spider was a cool little guy, and he was the Tom Thumb guy, and he was cool. So that was the little mischievous kind of business. And mind you, the same kids that I'm getting in fights with, we the same ones in these stores stealing all this goofiness. So That was just the kind of, I took them behaviors and then I put them behaviors in my neighborhood too. That's how that stuff kind of trickles down. Now, the bully that was in my fourth grade year was a guy named Ty. Ty would muscle kids for their lunch money. And I mean, Ty was this guy that was like big for no reason, talking about like you see him and you like, bro, we are in fourth grade, but Ty looked like he's supposed to be in every bit of seventh grade. Why is he here with us? Like he was that kind of big. And I mean, Ty be like he would tower over people. Like back then, Andre the Giant was this big wrestler. That was one of the things. Like for the fighting, we were when I was a kid, we were big into WWF. We were little hood kids, so you have these little electronic like transformer boxes or something like that. You find those all throughout apartment neighborhoods, and so they power various systems and stuff. But you have these little transformer boxes. We wasn't thinking about no high voltage stuff or nothing like that. To us, that was the top ropes. So you climb up on the electric box and then you jump off. And I mean, we just on hard ground and grass, and we just climb up on that and we drop in and we just giving folks elbows and tombstoning cats. Cause this back when WWF, this back in the era of say like Tatanka, The Undertaker, Bret Hart, Andre the Giant, Ric Flair. This is the age of wrestling that I'm coming up in. I mean, and we watch this stuff religiously, and we are performing all the moves, and we don't care what effect that has on you. You about to catch this tombstone. You about to get this figure four leg lock. We gonna tie you up and all of it, and we did everything. So that stuff would turn into fights too. This is how we was kind of giving it up. So we were tough and rumble little kids. It kind of made me used to getting beat up and hit on and getting hit hard and stuff like that. So stuff just didn't phase me the same way that it might phase kids that wasn't kind of moving as rough as we were moving. So this kid Ty, huge kid, fourth grade, muscling these kids for their money. Man, when I tell you, I would see this man muscling kids, I was like, man, I hope he don't never come to me, because I ain't about to deal with none of that. I hope he don't come to me. I ain't about to deal with none of that. And then it was my day. Ty done came to me, this fool towering all over me. He talking about, give me your lunch money. I looked up at that fool. I said, Ty, man, look, I ain't gonna give you my lunch money. I done seen you in here get all this lunch money from these kids. I was like, listen, man, I don't know what's gonna happen. You bigger than me, and I might not win, but I tell you what, I ain't about to give you my money. We gonna be in here fighting. I ain't about to give you my money. He looked at me and he just kept looking for a while. It was silent for a second. He caught me in the back of the room. My teacher at the time, this lady named Miss Messick. In her room, she had an office in the front door. Like if you come in like this, she had an office to the left. So if she go into her office, like a brick wall, so you can't see her and she can't see the room. The room is just a wide open space, and it's just these little square desks, like they got the little cubby hole where you put your little pencil and all that stuff in there, and your folders, and your Trapper Keeper. Yeah, look that up for y'all that don't know nothing about the Trapper Keeper. Yeah, that's right. Man, Ty had me in the back of the room by where we had the jackets and the cubbies in the corner. Man, I'm standing back there. This man looking at me. I'm looking at him. He looking at me, and I was like, bro, listen. I ain't about to give you my lunch money, bro. Like we gonna be in here fighting. I seen you and took this money from these other kids, but I ain't giving you my lunch money. And we just sitting there. And then what happens? Ty looks at me. He just quiet. Then he just kind of brushed my shoulder hard and walks away. Another one. I was like, bruh, like how all these people who bullies, like they every time that I gotta get confronted with them, they don't even bully up. Like I haven't had to fight none of these bullies. I haven't had to fight none of these bullies. Like every time I fought a whole bunch of people up to this point. I'm all right with it. I'm like, if we gotta fight, we gotta fight. But every time I'm up in the face of a bully, I never gotta fight him. And this is blowing my mind. This is blowing my mind. But that's how the Ty situation ended. Like, hey man, I hope you wherever you at in life, man, I hope you're doing good, boy, but you still ain't getting my lunch money.